So, even when they come without any makeup, very important to still cleanse because we have environmental factors like oil, dust, debris. We want to make sure that there's nothing there. This will help with the service to be more effective as well, okay? Am I walking? No? So that's the first step. Our micellar non-oily makeup remover. And sometimes, as you can see too, they wear makeup, like around the rest of the face. That can land in the brows as well, and can cause having any staining issues and the results not coming out as they should, okay? So very, very, very important to prep. Okay, so once we've done this, because we're doing a brow lamination first, it is very important. The second cleansing step is your saline solution. What this is going to do is going to degrease the area. So it's going to even help better to get those results. Now, because we're doing the brow lamination, it's okay to do this. If we're doing the intense brown service by itself, which is the staining system, you do not use this because it's salt. This saline solution has salt in it, and it doesn't work well with the silver nitrate ingredient, so you might have patchiness. So avoid that if you're doing just the intense browns. But now, because we're doing the brow lamination, we're okay to use that because by the time all the solutions are on there, it's going to get away the saline solution, okay? But we want to make sure the area is degreased. It's that second security, we call it, okay, of cleansing. And very little, like I don't use that much, I don't squeeze that much out. These products last a long time. So your profitability is even better. Feeling good okay so far? You're good with the solutions? Okay. Perfect. So that double security, you can see also if you've missed anything. Okay, so in my morning class, I did talk about how in social media, they show a lot of these services with people who have fuller brows, and we know it's going to look good, it's going to work. But how about people who have a little bit much thinner brow that really want that full voluptuous look? So with her model here, her brows I can say are like the medium, but she can have fuller looking brows to give her that framing of her face. So it's great to show that this result can work with this type of brow as well. So now that we've prepped, what we're going to do is your drying is very important. So let me just find my fan. And if you don't have a fan, these little fans become very handy when you're doing lash and brow services, just like when you do lash extensions, because it helps accelerate that drying time, okay? So I'm going to just clean, like because we did such a cleansing service, we want to make sure that the hair and the skin is dry. So I'm just doing this to make sure it's dry before I put any solutions. If I start to put solutions while it's wet, it's not going to grasp, it's not going to do what it needs to do because you have something impeding it, okay? So we did the drying time, perfect. So now we're going to start with, so when you're doing these two services, your brow lamination goes first, then your tinting, okay? So we're going to start off with that. In the brow lamination, have you guys done brow lamination before? Yeah? No? It's first time. Very, very easy service to do, and quick. It's the same solution that you use for lash lifts, okay? One thing I wanted to show, because in the morning class I talked about this, I'll give one to you after, but everybody got an eye care pad. Try it when you go back to your hotel, sit, relax, hydrate, because it's gonna hydrate. We are in Vegas, so use this, but it's a great way to add value and elevate your brow services by giving your customer an eye treatment. Okay, if I put this on? Yeah, perfect, okay. They have hyaluronic acid on them, and they are great to hydrate, condition, help with those fine lines, any puffiness, because it's got the aloe vera, vitamin E. Oops. There we go. Now your client is getting a spa treatment, okay? We treat these as spa treatments. Okay, so now what we're going to do is grab our solutions. Our step number one solution, what does it do? It's going to break down the bonds and the keratin of the hair to make it workable. Because what we're trying to do right now is mold the hair in a new direction to make it look fuller in volume. So you have to break down those bonds, those keratin, just breaking them down, not depleting them, not doing anything to damage. It's keratin based, which is also the ingredient that is a lot of states approved that if it's keratin based, right? So that's a good thing with our solution, and you're not doing anything to disrupt the hair cycle, the growth, anything like that, okay? So we're going to squeeze a pea-sized amount in our bowls. It comes out a little on the soft pinkish side. Just squeeze the first portion. Okay, so it has like a pinkishy, cotton candy pink hue to it, and as it starts to oxidize, when it's on the brows, it gets to this darker purple looking, almost like a tint. If you see that when you squeeze out your tube, when you open it, do not use that portion. That means it's already oxidized, and when you mix it, it's not going to have the result. So squeeze that first portion out, and always close your tubes right away. We tend to leave our caps open on lots of things, and then they oxidize. Okay, I have my clean brushes I'm going to use, and I'm going to start to apply it. Now, educate your customer a little bit that they're going to feel, because when you do a lash lift, it's resting on the hairs. It's touching on hairs on skin. Now, this is going to be touching on skin. So it's very important to educate your customer that they're going to feel a little bit of that tingling feeling. A tingling feeling is fine. If it starts to intensify to burning, that's not fine. That's why it's important patch test. Now, we're at a show today, so it's hard to do a patch test. I don't know who my model is going to be, but it's very important to do that for your customers to give them a nice, eased service instead of having any irritation while they're in the chair or the bed.
Where would you recommend?
So inner forearm is a good too, but also behind the ear, because it's a very sensitive area. So basically you would have one line, which is a lash perm, another line, which is a neutralizer, there's two-step solutions, and then you would build up on one spot the 3 steps of the intense browns. And then you'd wipe it off after a couple minutes, leave it dry. Don't put any water, nothing like that, because they go home, and within that 48 hours, if they have any irritation, you want to give them 48 hours, because people usually react right away, or some usually react within an hour or 24 hours. So we say 48 hours is a span, and then if they call you and they say they have irritation, you know which line, because you'll take a picture with the number of what each section was. If they don't call you, or you call them after 48 hours and they're fine, then you can proceed with the service. Okay, so you know ahead of time what's going to irritate them or not. Okay, maybe you turn just a little bit this way. It's still okay in the camera? Yep. Okay. So I'm going to apply. Now, depending on the degree of the hair, how thick it is, how much it's sucking in the solution, you do want to be generous with it. You do want to see it saturated on the hair so that it's going to take it. If it's a virgin type of hair, I maybe be a little bit more saturating. Now, I also explain to my customers that if they have a virgin brow, sometimes it might not take fully, because you're trying to redirect these hairs, and it's their first time as virgin hairs, so the solution might not work effectively. As they come next time, it's coming accustomed to the solution, and the hair relaxes even better. Okay, but you can most likely charge your customer half the price, a little bit of discount if that happens. It doesn't mean that it won't work completely, just some brows might not have relaxed as well, and you don't want to overdo it with the time, okay, and cause any over processing. So simple as that, I'm putting it on, but you see how I did with the Q-tip? I cleaned her skin area, because I don't want it resting on her skin unnecessarily on the skin, because it doesn't need to be there, because then that can cause some irritation. Okay, so I'm always going and cleaning anywhere I went extra on the skin. Okay, perfect. So we're going to complete the other side as well. And that stays on. Our tubes are, when they have this like pinkish kind of fluorescent coloring, it is 6 minutes for the perm solution, 4 minutes for the neutralizer. But you can go to 8 and 5 minutes, because 2 solutions, if the hair is coarse. Okay, so very important to know that, because some people keep it at the 6 and 4 and they're like, well, it didn't work. But brows, they vary in different degree of density as well. So keep in mind that you can go higher, but do not overly, don't go past what we suggest, because then you can over process any brand. You want to follow the manufacturer's instructions, okay? Also, we do not teach to use, now on my own I do teach, because I know how to teach it effectively, but the brand RefectoCil, they don't teach to use the plastic film. Why? because many professionals don't understand what the plastic film actually does or what it can do, and they leave it on with full timing of the solution. And what's happening with the plastic film, it's giving that occlusiveness, and with that occlusiveness, it provides more heat and faster presentation of the solution. So what happens is they're over-processing, and then they have effective, like the brows can get dry and snap off. So we don't teach with that, and I'll show you what we do. So because it's 6 minutes, already that brow is gonna reach to the 3 minutes. During that 6 minutes, I don't know for her what timing will be good, but we'll see. And I'm gonna take in my spoolie, or you could use the dental sticks. Have you guys seen those dental sticks? If I have any, yes. Those are really good to use because the brushes are very, very fine. And what they do is that you're able to brush through the brows nicely and see if they're relaxing. They're actually literal dental sticks, okay? So very, very fine, the bristle. And what I'm doing now, because it's been on there for 3 minutes, I'm brushing it to see how the hair is relaxing. So I don't know if you can tell on the camera, the hair is slightly now working where I'm brushing it, but still it's causing a little bit of fight with me. But see in the corners, the hairs are actually, and I'm not putting any pressure. Am I putting any pressure? No. So we're seeing that the hairs are getting relaxed. But if I see any, this is going to test to see how the timing I have to leave it on. If I see that some of the areas of the hairs look as dry, they're not penetrating, they're not relaxing as much as I want, I have still some more solution, and I know this area is giving me trouble, I'm going to apply a little bit more solution to keep that density, like that amount on there, just to help it relax more. That's how you're going to monitor it instead of using the plastic film. Now, if I'm going to do this on a male clientele, because sometimes male clientele might have the kinks in their brows, I always joke around about Jack Nicholson. You know, his brows have those wild curls and kinks, and he looks like aggressive, but that's what's given him his roles to be famous as a villain. But you know, day-to-day humans, when we're out in life, we don't want to look like that, right? So a male clientele can come and relax their brows with using that solution. So for male clientele, I tend to use the plastic film because the hair is thicker and requires that more deeper penetration of the solution. But I'm mindful of the timing as well still, okay? We don't want to do anything with those brows too. So I'm going to check this once again, or I can use a dental stick just because it's much finer. And I'm going to brush to see, are her brows, turn a little bit this way, are her brows relaxing? See how they're going. You guys can see that on the screen, that as I'm brushing them, they are going into that position. So it's your first time getting a brow lamination. So for the first time, you know, they're relaxing. So potentially in the 2 more minutes, I can remove it, right? If I see some areas that still are not relaxing, I can leave it on longer. Also, just for timing purposes of the class today, it might be hard to do that and leave it because we have certain timing, but to know with your client, that's how you will control to see is, do I need to go to that 8 minutes or is the 6 minutes okay? Okay, so we still have another 1.5 minutes. So far, easy, right? We did the prep, we dried the area, and now we're putting the lash perm solution, which is the part 1, to break down those bonds in the keratin. What we're going to do after this is we're going to take a dry Q-tip. Never introduce water. As soon as you introduce water, you're stopping that process, okay? So you just take a dry Q-tip, remove the solution, dry the hair with the fan, and then we go to the neutralizer. But before we go to the neutralizer, because what's the neutralizer doing? It's actually setting the brows back into shape. Because think of spaghetti. When we buy the grain of spaghetti, you can't twirl it on your fork and eat it. You gotta put it in the water for it to become moldable, and then you twist it. So that's what we were doing with the lash perm. We're allowing the hair to become moldable so we can redirect it now to the new direction. Then the neutralizer is gonna set it back into place, and then that's why they can get the 4 to 6 weeks of that look, okay? Any questions so far? Yes, questions are welcome. We need them, yes. If it's a fresh microblading, like obviously first you have to wait if the 1 month mark has passed, because if you do it any time between that healing stage, you will affect their, not just their results, their skin, right? Because it's healing the scabs. So if they've not gone back in 6 months to do their touch-up and they don't really care for the touch-up, then it's fine to do it. As long as there's hair there, you can relax and give a fuller looking brow. But if they're worried about the coloring kind of fading, it can happen with the perms. But if somebody just hasn't gone for a touch-up and they want to try this out, they don't usually care if it's going to fade a little bit because you're going to tint it afterwards. And then they're going to go anyways for their touch-up. But it can affect a little bit the coloring. Yeah. Okay, before I remove it, I'm going to do one more test. I'm going to turn just slightly a little bit. And as I am brushing it, now so you can see how longer her brows are getting as well, and how we're creating now a fuller looking brow. I know in this area it's still being a little bit stubborn, but as I said, because of timing purposes, I will have to leave it at that, but we're gonna tint over it, and we're gonna just do the 6 minutes, but that's you can kind of tell from before how the brows look thicker, okay? So, because the 6 minutes timing is up, I'm going to remove it now, and as I said, either a cotton round if you want, which is faster, but it's dry, okay? So I'm going to take my cotton round, and I'm going to wipe this off. Now you can even ask your customer, because it is the first time that they've done this, how is your skin feeling? It was a little bit of tingling, right? Tingling. So tingling, I'm glad they say that, that's okay, because even I feel it too, but if she was saying it's starting to burn, starting to intensify, I would take it off immediately, cool it down with a cotton round and some cool water or some aloe, right? But that's why the patch test is very, very, very important, okay? Now potentially for her, the 8 minutes is actually really good for her. She would need the 8 minutes to have that full flat down look, okay? We're gonna leave 30 seconds on the other side. I'm just gonna make sure that this brow, there's no more solution. And then what you can do as well afterwards is take your fan, and just let the hairs get a little bit drier so that it can accept the next step properly, okay? Perfect, and now we're going to remove the other side. Okay, same thing, dry cotton round. Okay, and you can see how the hairs are more elongated. And if you were to do it a little bit longer, you would see each individual hair separated. That's what the brow lamination is doing, it's separating each of our hairs, and that's why you get that thickness, okay? Okay, so we make sure it's nice and clean, nice and dry from the solution. We're gonna do a little bit of the fan. I know in here is a little dry, so her brows are pretty dry, but we just wanna make secure that there's no area that is wet. Now what we're gonna do is take our part two. We're gonna have a second bowl and a second brush, because we don't want to intermix. And we're going to take our neutralizer, which is a creamier base when you're applying it on. As we said, the other solution was that pinkishy, like cottony pinkish solution. This is going to be a cream, and this is going to be soothing, okay, onto her skin. So we're going to squeeze our pea size. And now I just like to squeeze the first portion out because we fly these in, or they travel the heat from show to show. So I always squeeze out the first part. Okay, so it's a creamier base. I don't know if they can see in the camera, but can you guys see it? It's a creamier base. Okay, so let's put that on her brows and set them now into place. Okay, and close your caps. Very, very important. And we're going to do this. So I had brushed the brows as well. You can brush them into the shape that the client wants. In the morning class, I did show 3 different looks that you can achieve. Which is the soapy brow, the laminated brow, and the fluffy feathery. And how, when the hair relaxes, you're able to manipulate it into those 3 different looks. And then you put the setting cream, okay? So once again, all over the brow, the same way we had the lash perm. Okay? Feels okay? Yeah, perfect. Okay, we're going for the other side, and this is going to be 4 minutes now. We're doing the 6 and 4 minutes time. If we were to do the 8 minutes of the perm solution, then it would be 8 and 5. Okay? Now, even with this one too, as it gets on the skin, I still like to clean it off because some people are pretty sensitive, and they can also be sensitive, like people are even just sensitive to touch, to water, so I don't want to leave solutions like this resting on their skin unnecessarily. So I'm going to just apply this and then clean around the skin. The lighter eyes We notice lighter eyes and lighter, fairer skin. With lighter eyes, they tend to feel a little bit more irritated, so be mindful for those clientele, even when you do a lash lift, okay? Okay, I'll just do the other side. Just any areas that I felt that could use a little bit more. And then we can clean around. Okay, so then I'll leave that like that, and I'm gonna take a Q-tip and just clean around that skin area where I just don't want it to rest too much. And periodically checking with your customer. If your customer is laying down and they're doing a lash lift and they're pretty relaxed and they're resting, okay, but I usually like to check in to see that they're feeling okay, because sometimes customers, they won't tell you that they're feeling irritated because they feel, oh, I need to suck it up, but we want to know, because that can create a further reaction, right? So we want to know that they're feeling okay. So you're good now? It's good, perfect. Okay, so that's going to need another minute and a half to 2 minutes on that side, and we remove it once again with a dry cotton round, not any water, because now we're going to start with the tinting, okay? So the tinting is the 3 steps. I'm just going to compare it while that's on there and show you the steps to those ones. Kind of wish is there any garbage bin in here? I guess not. Okay, what I'm going to do, just to clear up my space. Now, during this step 2 of the neutralizer, you know how during the part 1, I was putting the little dental, oh, thank you. I was putting the little dental stick and brushing it through. In the part, appreciate it. In the part 1, you can do that because you're trying to see if the brows are relaxing. In this part, because you're setting them into place, you don't want to disrupt them too much. What I do is I wait towards the end of my time when there's about 30 seconds left, and then I take that brand new spoolie and the dental stick and I brush through just to get that solution through nicely, but towards the end, not disrupting it now. I want it right now to try to set nicely. Okay, I'm gonna put this back here. Okay, so let me just clean that and get prepared the solutions. So this intense browns, as I mentioned, it's a hybrid, so it's going to stain the skin and color the hair at the same time. Usually you might be knowing oxidative tints, right? The ones that work like hair dye, where you mix them with the peroxide, and that's just meant for hair. It opens up the hair structure and it just colors the hair. But there's a lot of clientele that might need their skin stained, and with that you can't do it. So we have the Intense Browns, which is the first FDA compliant tinting system, but it's also for US, but it's also going to stain the skin and color the hair. So 4 to 6 weeks, it's going to color, the color's going to stay in the hair. 8 to 10 days, you can get skin staining depending on their aftercare. We talked about that in the morning too. We're in your Business of Brows kit, you get a nice aftercare postcard that you can use these to give to your customers, and a nice little aftercare package. Yeah, right here. So a nice little aftercare package. When they finish their brand new service, you have the protocols in there. You have these little visors that they can put on their forehead, because we say don't shower within the 24 hours. You don't want to have all that water affecting, but you can put these on your forehead and the water deviates away. Even when you're shampooing your hair, all those oils, they go away from your brows, and you can preserve your staining on your skin that way. And then I also put a little bit of the eye care pads because they loved it, and a little spoolie so every morning when they wake up, and they can brush their brows back into the position. So I charge about $5 for this into my service, and they get a beautiful little at-home care kit. And this way they appreciate that what they have to do, and they come back returning for the service. Okay, so let's remove the neutralizer. Now go one by one step when we do the Intense Browns, because there's no mixing, and it's 3 steps. Okay, so let's remove this one, dry cotton round. Pressure, okay? I'm wiping it off? Okay. At the end. So before you put your aftercare, your styling gel, you wax, you shape, whatever hair removal method you're using, you do that, and then you will shape. Sorry, I said that. Whatever hair removal you do, whether it's threading, waxing, tweezing, you do that, and then you do the last step, which is the styling gel, which is the aftercare. Don't do it before. I know some social medias, they do show it before, but think of this. When you pull, and because we're staining skin and we're putting chemicals, if you were to wax before, what's happening? You have these pores that are open from where you remove the hair, and then you're using chemical. when that rests inside those areas, you're gonna have inflammation, you're gonna have redness, you're gonna have irritation. We're talking about a spot treatment. We don't want to have our client react to that. So it's very important that you don't do that. Also, when you tint first, like do whatever the service is before, you see the full brow, what it looks like, and you shape it even better. Okay? Okay. So I make sure all that's clean. Now before I go and I do now the first step, we'll make the brow map. I'm going to show you that, guys, that too. Before I go and I do that, I have to take my eye makeup remover and dab just a little bit, don't overly wet it. I just want to make sure that the area is going to be nice and clean for now our intense browns. So there's no perm solutions, okay? So I'm going to wipe that. Okay. And then you're going to dry it with the fan, and then we're going to brow map, okay? Now, because this is her first time getting these services, I'm going to try to brow map a little bit, like much closer to her brow shape, so I don't overwhelm her with her new look of her brows, because the intense brown is going to have that staining effect, so I don't want to shock her for her first time doing this, okay? So, now we're going to get our brow mapping pencil. Anybody here know the golden rule of how to brow map? If nobody knows, don't worry, it's pretty simple, because I know on social media they show those extensive brow mapping where there's lines and lines and strings and strings. Great technique if you're working with somebody who really does not have anything going, like they don't have brows, or you're doing microblading. But here she's got a good structured brow. I can see her beginning, I can see her end, I can see her arch, so I can brow map just with that old school way where we're taught in school. So I'm going to take a brush. I'm going to align it on the bridge of her corner here. Not here in the corner, right on top of that bridge. I'm going to go like this, and that's where her brow should start. Then as she's looking straight, I'm going to take it once again, that bridge of the nose. I'm going to go to the corner of her iris. You don't have your iris, yeah. I'm going to go to the corner of her iris, and that's where her arch should be. Okay, 2/3 rising, 1/3 falling. And then from the corner of her, now you go in the corner. Corner to the corner of the eye, that's where her brow should end. So actually, her brow actually starts and ends where it should. Okay? So we're going to do that with the other side. Look straight again. So sure, me, I can do it pretty quick, but once again, this is a really easy method of brow mapping. Okay? And now what you're going to do is you're going to connect it. Okay? So because it's her first time doing this intense browns, I'm going to connect it really close to her hairs. Okay? It's very loose, like a clear gel. Okay? So, with the primer, try to be generous, especially when they need that skin staining in certain areas. If you're not generous with this, what happens is that it can dry quickly. It's supposed to stay on for 4 minutes, so it can dry quickly, and in your environment, if there's a dry area, in 2 minutes it could dry, and then your results will be patchy at the end. So make sure it's nice and wet. Okay, as you can see, I'm pretty generous with it. You can see it nice and wet on her brows. All within that brow mapping, make sure you get that all nice and wet, okay? And that's gonna stay on for the 4 minutes. Let me turn a little bit this way, so the other way, yeah, thank you. Once again, easy, okay? It just takes a little more time. By now we would have been done with the oxidative tint because you mix it together, you put it on, 3 to 5 minutes, you're done, right? But it's not giving them that skin staining. Now, another benefit of this system is that you can do a brow lamination and this type of hybrid staining together in one day. There are henna brands out there that you can't. So your customer has to come back within 24 hours. Who wants to do that? Who has time to do that? So that's a benefit with our system when it comes to comparing it with henna. Okay, so see how nice and how shiny you see it there? So I know, especially now being in a room too where it's a little bit dry, I know that this is going to be good. I'm just going to clean in a little wetness here. Okay, I'm just going to check the other side just to see that it still looks a little bit wet. Yes. Now, these brushes, as I mentioned, have a nice silicone brush. Very important in this system. Try not to use disposable mascara ones. The bristles are thicker, coarser, longer, product gets trapped in it. So what I mean by that is use this spoolie and brush the gels through nice and gently to spread that gel evenly, and it will help with that even distribution. Okay, but I'm doing it very gentle, and then product doesn't get trapped in here. You're not wasting product. What happens if you use the disposable mascara once? All the product will go in there and then really create patchiness. Also, the bristles are very thick and can scratch the skin. And after brow lamination, that can feel irritating. Okay, so these become a very important aspect in your intense brown service. Okay, they come separately. They also come in your intense browns kit. Okay, so that I have to leave it another on that side about another 2 minutes. And remove it dry. Okay, and then we'll move the other side dry, and then we'll fan it so that we'll make sure that it's completely dry. If you do not have a fan, they suggest 4 minutes of that air drying time. You can cut down that 4 minutes time by having a fan, because you can use that 4 minutes for something else. Retailing, telling them what they need to buy for aftercare, telling them their instructions, what they should do when they go home, right? So try to get a fan. They're very cheap, and you can accelerate that time and save at least 6 minutes of drying time. Okay? Any questions so far with the system? Straightforward, pretty easy. As I would say, you should book this service with brow lamination and the intense browns about your first time. You might be looking for an hour to book it in because you're getting comfortable with doing this to your customers. Afterwards, you can just bring it down to 40 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes, okay? Otherwise, the brow lamination on its own takes 10 minutes if you're not doing any tinting, and the intense browns takes 30 minutes if it's on its own, okay? So let me prepare a cotton round. And what we're going to do on her, I see her hair is pretty dark. She does have the blonder side on the other side. So I'm going to keep it safe. Her brow's a little bit lighter, but I'm going to keep it safe and keep it with the ash brown. It is her first time, as I said. I don't want to overwhelm her with the look. I'm going to use the lightest one, which is our ash brown. Okay? This ash brown is usually a cool tone. It's really good for people who are blonder and fair skin. Okay? So I'm going to prepare that. I'm going to squeeze it into my other section of my palette. We sell these as well. Your hand's nice and free, so I'm going to free my hands in. I don't have to hold anything. And then this gel becomes a little bit thicker, but once again, it's a clear gel. Okay? So you don't see anything yet. Okay? The magic doesn't happen yet. So what I'm going to do right now is take a Q-tip and clean the brows off. I'm going to take a few Q-tips. 1 second. Okay, I'm going to clean the side of the gel. So you can see where your brow mapping might tend to start dissipating a little bit, and you might have to reconnect it. I want to try and remove the bulk as much as I can with the Q-tip, and then use the fan to dry, okay? Feeling good again? Okay, yeah. Okay, so while I need to leave that another 30 to 40 seconds, I'm going to take my fan and I'm going to dry the other side. Okay, so you're not wasting any time. Perfect, so that's nice and dry. And then we're going to take our Q-tip and do the other side, okay? Very, very, very easy. Just time. It takes time, okay? I'm just going to wait another 20 seconds just to balance it out. I do have an internal clock after doing this for 15 years. People are like, you don't use your phone and stuff. I'm like, I can just tell. But what people do, even when they do the brow lamination, they like to have 2 different timers going on because sometimes they're worried they didn't manage the timing correctly with both brows. So they use 2 timers, right? Until you get more comfortable. Try Q-tip again. Good question. That's 4 colors. Ash brown for the lighter one, then chocolate brown for people who have like warmth in their hair, and then deep brown for more darker skin, black hair, black brows, and then black brown if you want to do brows. Lashes, sorry, if you want to tint lashes. Yes, you can tint lashes with this, especially if you have customers that are allergic to the oxidative tinting on their lashes, you can do this on them, yeah. They are working on a lighter shade because even the ash brown for somebody who's blonde and fair skin, it can be a little too dark. But I have techniques on my Instagram that show you how to buff it out and make it look soft looking until they can create it as lighter color. Okay, so let me get my fan, dry. This drying thing, like you see me doing with drying, is so important in the service. It can make or break the result with patchiness, okay? Perfect. Now we're gonna go to the color gel. I have a brand new brush that's not being used. This is the narrow one. Yeah, okay. So what I'm gonna do is I squeezed out my gel for the color gel. This is the color gel. You're not gonna see anything still. Okay, so I'm gonna apply it on. Once again, be enough generous with it that you see it wet. Oops, wrong side. Can you talk a little bit this way, just so I can just get it all the way to the corner. The other side. And once again, I'm going to use a spoolie to spread it through. I'm going to run it through with the spoolie. And this is going to stay on for 2 minutes, okay? So half of the first timing. The first timing was 4 minutes. The second timing will be 2 minutes. And the activator is just 1 minute, okay? And the activator, it stops working at 1 minute. So you don't have to worry about it going too dark or too long, like longer. It stops, okay? Feeling good, okay? Good? Yeah? Okay. I'm just gonna apply a little bit in some areas of here. So that brow has another, like just 1 minute, and I'm gonna remove it. Okay. And I'm pressing really gentle when I'm doing the spoolie. Okay, perfect. I'm going to put this here. Don't need this anymore. Okay, can I have the Q-tips ready? Okay, so step 2 was the color gel. Okay, so 2 minutes for the color gel. We're going to remove it dry. We're going to dry it so you see the pattern. It becomes such a same pattern. Okay, and we're going to use the Q-tip to remove it dry, and then we're going to dry it with the fan. And before I do the activator, because the activator is the part that's actually going to stain right away, I'm going to re-brow map. I'm going to reconnect my brow mapping and make sure it's good, even, and then do the staining. Now, obviously, you won't be doing it at this speed at the beginning. Okay, so take your time. You are creating a new brow for your customer, so take your time. Okay? And then as you get more accustomed to it, you're going to speed up a little bit. Okay. Perfect. We're going to remove the other side now. Now, if you feel you don't want to go through so many Q-tips, you can use a lip brush and remove the gel and have a cotton round and clean on the cotton round and go back, and then at the end throw that away and then use a Q-tip to make sure, like the final step, that it's dry. That there's nothing there. But you can use one lip brush and then one Q-tip per try if you don't want to waste so many Q-tips. I think people have said, whoa, Chrissy, you use a lot of Q-tips. During train, like coming like here and stuff, it's cheaper to use Q-tips, but in your salon and spa, you can use the disposable lip brushes. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to go to the final step. So before we do that, we're going to rebrow map. Let me just dry this brow area. Once again, we've got that pattern. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is rebrow map. Okay, because you can see the brow mapping has somewhat disappeared. I'm going to turn a little bit this way. Thank you. Let me just brush them upwards just to. Perfect. Okay, then you turn this way. Okay, now you're gonna look at me just to make sure. Okay, and the activator part, take your time with it. Because as I said, that's what's gonna start the staining process. I did do a webinar that will help you to perfect your skills on that. But what I would suggest is, as you're gonna buy this, practice it, when you're gonna take the activator and start to apply it onto the brows, don't go, stop, and then brush. Because what's happening, as soon as you stop, that area is staining instantly because it's coming in contact with the primer and the color gel. So it's instantly staining, and then you're gonna create these little patches. I would say it's gonna look like a leopard brow. You can start a new trend, but I don't think your customers are gonna want that. So keep your brush moving like an artist as you're applying the activator so you avoid those weird staining parts, okay? So let me get the activator, squeeze that out. Activator, perfect. Get a new bowl. Always have different bowls, clean new bowls, don't intermix solutions or else your results won't come out. And this one again, it is a clear gel, once again, until you start to touch it. Now another tip, very, very, very important tip. As I take this gel and I touch, it's gonna instantly darken. So that darkened part means it's oxidized, it's working, it's come in contact with other solutions and it's gonna oxidize. If you take that brush to go grab more solution, you're gonna oxidize that and it's no longer gonna work properly, which means your first brow is gonna look nice and pigmented. Remember we said it stops in a minute and you've activated this fresh batch, it's gonna make the next brow lighter. So what you gotta do is you gotta clean your brush from that dark activated part, on your glove, on a tissue, somewhere wipe it off, and then go grab fresh every time you have to grab fresh. Very important tip, because that will make your brows uneven and also patchiness, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I usually stand on that side to do the brow, but don't worry, I'm just gonna get you to turn, yes, I'm not covering the camera at all, they can see, okay. And turn a little, I'm gonna go a little bit here. Yes, there we go. So you see how I'm moving, you see it instantly darkening? Now if I have to go grab more, I'm gonna clean it on my brush and grab more. Keep your brush moving, okay? But you see how instant it is? Now a lot of people freak out and I tell them, don't worry, take your time. I can go a little bit quicker, but you need to take your time. Take your spoolie too, spread it through, okay? But you guys saw how quick it started, and once again, I'm cleaning my brush. Corner. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove one brow first so that you can see the difference. So obviously by now the 1 minute timing is up. I like to take my spoolie and just buff it a little bit. This is a technique that I teach if you need to soften it for someone so it's not too dark, especially the blonder clientele. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rest this. I'm going to grab a cotton round. Now is where you can put water. Okay, but once again, I don't overly drench my cotton round. Okay, I don't need so much water on it. So I have this like squeezy bottle that I'm bringing with me. Very little water. Okay. Now we're going to remove it. And I can do little buffing actions too. Can you guys already see how thick her brow looks from before? Yeah. Now we rushed this, right? But you're not gonna rush that. And the coloring is actually perfect, good. And you see I'm doing little buffing. I'm not overly wetting it. And then grab a dry one, so I don't have that water resting there. And then after she does the shaping, once she cleans all this nice, she has that nice little crisp brow, but it's nice and full for her, okay? So let's do the other side. Leave her with even brows. Okay, we could get you walking out there like an advertisement. Look at my brows. No, but I'll finish the other side. Turn this way, right? Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna do this side. And say she said, well, like she was my client, she's like, well, Chrissy, I don't mind it being a little bit more darker. You can go, but maybe she liked the oh my gosh, the ash brown color. Then you can take the strong primer, do the strong primer. Or if she wants to go a darker color, then you can go to the chocolate brown or the deep brown, right? So you can play around with this and customize it. Always make sure. Perfect. Now we're going to grab another cotton round, a little bit of water. Make sure to take the excessive water out. And even our brow mapping pencil, it's got properties in it that soothe the skin and condition the skin. So everything they create is also being a treatment, which is really nice. So you can give them an ultra or an advanced type of brow treatment, right? Now, this is where you would do the shaping after this. And then after you're done the shaping, you would do the styling gel, the aftercare treatment, okay? And then take another cotton round just to dry it properly, so it's not wet. And now I'm gonna get my styling gel. So that's our styling gel. This is the final step, what you would do when you're done your shaping, okay? Then clean any wax residue, and then you do this. Now, if you're gonna clean any of the wax residue off, if you're using a wax, try not to put, because the aftercare waxing stuff that you use to remove any wax from the brow have a lot of oil. Stay away from that skin that's been stained with it and the hairs. Okay, so be very mindful. Use a small Q-tip or something to clean, or else it's going to break down the color. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the styling gel. I can't use the same applicator for each client. You're going to cross-contaminate, so I'm going to squeeze a little bit on my glove, close it up, have another spoolie. I'm going to use my brush spoolie, my brow liners. I'm going to grab a little bit of that. And this is a great product to retail and give to your customer to take home and use. And you get it in your Business of Brows kit, which is great for you to use it, but you can retail to your customer. Great product to use in between your brow lamination services to hold that brow up until your next service as it starts to lose its brow lamination. Yeah, daily. And also, it doesn't have to be a person who's getting these services. You can market it as an all-around, take care of your brows and lashes. Like in the summer, I go to the beach a lot. I want to save my hairs from the sun and stuff like that, so I put it on as a protector. But I also use it as a primer before I fill in my brows. I use it as a primer for my mascara. It's great for everybody just to maintain good lashes and brows. Yeah. And when you're using the oxidative tints, it actually has an ingredient called dipanthenol that locks in the color. So if your client says, oh, the oxidative tints don't last long, I kind of have to come back in 3 minutes, not 3 minutes, in 3 days to get it done again, that's not, it should last over a week to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they should buy this product to help it seal in. It could be that they have oily skin, or their lifestyle, they're a swimmer, they're a gymnast, they're a coach, who knows, or they sweat a lot. This is a great product for them to use it and preserve their service. Okay? And that's how you would end it. So that's how the service would look. So we can significantly see a fuller. I kept it really safe for her. I did not go, I could extend it more in the skin and create a fuller brow, but it was her first time, so I wanted to keep it as natural, but you play around with this and you can give your client a brand new brow. So I'm gonna give you a mirror to see. We want to take the eye care pads off too. So it's very subtle, but you see the color and you see them a little bit thicker, but for your brows, the 8 and 5 minutes was what you needed for the, so if you're ever gonna try this on yourself and then know you bought it, leave it for 8 and 5, the solutions for the brow lamination. Okay, so let me remove these, hold the skin, nice and tight. The skin's gonna have a nice gloss, so try them. I gave you to get one, come to me, I'll give you one. Great when you go back to the hotel for hydration. There we go. We're gonna remove this, and that's the service. What did you guys feel? Now, once again, you're not gonna rush it like this, like how we did in the class. You're gonna have that moment with your customer, right? There we go. But how do you guys feel? But how did you feel also for the experience that you felt it on you? You felt good? It was just a lash perm solution that felt a little bit tingly, but the rest you were good. So that's listening from her, getting it done. She's able to now explain to her customers what it feels like too, right? So thank you for being the model. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah. So how do you guys feel about these services? Pretty quick and easy, and more of these services of the staining system are being requested because a lot of people, as I mentioned in the morning class, might have been victims of the 90s brow where their brows are like pencil thin, or as you age, a lot of people get missing patchy brows, a lot of sparseness as well. And also, if you did microblading, anybody here do microblading? No? Okay. When you do microblading, it's a blade that cuts into your skin to create, then you put the tinting to create like hair-like looks. Once you cut with the blade, that area, the hair doesn't grow back. So you're going to have more customers who have done microblading who don't want to do microblading or be coming to you if you have that intense brown system. So you can gain those customers too. Yeah. What you would charge for this service, right? So basically what you would charge for this, thank you so much, I know you have to go, thank you so much. So for the brow lamination, we say between $75 to $85 on its own. And then if you were to do, I do brow lamination with tinting, with the oxidative tinting, $85, okay? But the intense browns, when you're doing the brows, it's much more. When you're doing regular oxidative tinting, you charge $15 to $20 for the service because it's quick and fast. But when you do intense browns, you saw that it was brown mapping, shaping it, and all these techniques, 3 steps, drying time, is between $50 to $60. A combo pricing to include it all together, we say between $115 to $125. But we keep it base. Where you're located, depending on your area, if it's higher end, some people go up to $150 to $175. So your revenue is even higher than $100,000. It could be $120,000. The $100,000 is based on 20 services per week, charging just the base of $115. So that's what the breakdown would be, between $75 to $85 for brow lamination and tint, $50 to $60 for just the intense browns, $50 to $60, $15 to $20 for the oxidative tinting. Yeah.
And about how frequent?
So we want, especially with the brow lamination, because it is a chemical process, we want them to come between 6 weeks, nothing before 6 weeks, because it is a chemical process. That's why it's great to sell the aftercare gel, to use that in between. But the intense browns, because the staining is 8 to 10 days on the skin, if they want to restain it, come back every 2 weeks. If they come back every week, the skin hasn't regenerated itself to hold that staining, so it will hold. So after 2 weeks, you can come back and get the staining again. Yeah, good questions. Anybody else feel like any questions, or was it pretty straightforward? And we have a webinar, thank you. We have a webinar up that I just did in like about 3 weeks ago, but our website, RefectoCileEducation.com, has all those webinars, and I did a webinar called on perfecting your intense brown techniques. Because it is a specific technique and it's staining the skin, a lot of professionals have a little bit of trouble with it. So I did this perfecting webinar, and they said it helped them so much to execute that smooth staining look. So I would suggest watch that too, because it's going to give you that confidence, and you're going to run with the intense browns. You're going to have a good, if you have that clientele that needs the staining, you're going to do very well with the intense browns. Brow lamination is that fun trend that people like to do to get their brows look fuller looking. Yeah. Does everybody feel good? Yeah, good. Any more questions? We're here tomorrow at the booth, the RefectoCil booth. We'll do demos there too. If you want to try it on yourself, come by. We're there till, 9 till 2, I believe, tomorrow. So come by, get a demo done by myself, feel it. When you feel it, you know how to speak about it, and you trust it more. Yeah.